All right, let me do that all over again because you couldn't hear me because my mic was muted. But check this out. We're back at 7 p.m. here on a Wednesday, and you know what that means, live Q&A with me and you. So I appreciate you guys showing up. Did you like the music? If you like the music in the waiting lobby, give me a thumbs up. If not, Matt's got to go. But yeah, we're back here, man. So what an interesting week. It's been raining here all week. I don't know if I'm the only one who is like, when it rains all week, I'm just like, man, this is terrible. The weather, the temperature's dropping, but we still doing deals. That's all that matters, right? We still doing things. We still doing things. So you know my thing. Make sure you share this video, like it. We want to get to about 150 people in here before we start and go live. So share this and like this. And also drop a comment where you guys are from. I'm looking at the comments right now. Okay, so they did like it. It looks like y'all did like the music. All right, so Matt can stay.
We're fixing the, there's like a mic echo right now.
I'm echoing. Am I echoing? Can you guys hear me? All right, we're just gonna fix the audio issue. That's part of going live. I'm cool with it. I'm sure you can still hear me a little bit. What's up, Wes? Wes is in the building. I see a lot of North Carolina people in here. I like y'all repping Hickory, Charlotte, and all of that, Alabama. Night soon, let's make it happen. Toronto's in the house, in the 6th. Yo, I wonder, how do you guys start off your week? I'm good. How do you guys start your week? I'm wondering how you start your week, right? Does it start on Sunday? Does it start Monday morning? What do you do to give yourself like that extra pump where you just like psyched all week? He said there's an echo, but we're just gonna echo this out.
You're like a 90s rocker right now.
Sound like I'm in a trash can talking?
Yeah.
Well, the studio is about to be a trash can because we're going to a new one soon. Brand new studio we're building. You know, who that state? Who that? Harlem's in here. That's what's up, ATL. Duncanville, Texas, VA. I love it. I love it.
Sorry, folks. Should be good. Who's doubled up?
So we should be good now. The echo is gone. Somebody said, show us how to do comps. Well, I got something even better. If you go back and watch last week's video, that's all we did, I believe, or a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Go watch the last live or the live before that. We comp videos live. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I got it all on there. And if you're asking that question, AJ, that means you're not subscribed to my YouTube. So if you're watching right now, please just press the subscribe and the bell button. It costs you nothing. It's just support. I've been putting out free information for about 4 years now, and I ain't charging you nothing, right? So I appreciate the love. How long does it take to close a wholesale deal? That's a good question. We're going to get started soon once we get enough people in the room. Comp is in here. Somebody said they just left Charlotte looking for homes. San Juan, Puerto Rico's in the house. What's up, Nick? Chris Monroe is in the house. St. Louis. I like that. Chicago's in here from the, who's this? LTL Logistics. Someone says, how much is my training? So Nazar and I, Nazar is the guru, not a guru because he actually does this business. That's my guy. Him and I put together a course last October. It's $497. You can go check that out if you want. The link is on my Instagram bio for sure, or it's linked in a lot of YouTube videos. But do me a favor, you guys, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe for me. But let's get into some Q&A. I hope you guys have some good questions today because I'm feeling like we got some good questions coming. I forgot my big iPad, so I'm reading the questions off my phone here. Harlem in the house, Tampa, Florida. All right, so this is a good question. So Candy Girl says she starts her week off by meditation. That's awesome. I've tried to meditate. I'm really not that good at it. Man, my brain just moves so much. But that's cool. That's who I am. She said she was talking to an Uber driver who wants to work with her in order to go out and find deals while they're driving. It's real easy. I have an app called REIRail Drive. You can go get that, REIRail Drive, and you can add them as a person, and they can go around looking for deals for you. But what's so cool about REIRail Drive is that not only is it a Driving for Dollars app, my favorite feature is that you're going to be able to click a button and buzz into my office. Now, that's crazy, right? So like you're driving around, you see a property, you may get out, you may even talk to the owner, or you're not sure how to comp this property, or you're not sure if this is a wholesale deal, a sub-2 deal, or you got to do something creative with it. What you do is once you fill it out, once you tap this property, skip trace this property, there's a button that pops up and says Deal Desk. Deal Desk is the people in my office. You get connected directly to the people in my office, and once that happens, we're going to look up the deal, help you comp it, help you, you're going to take pictures, so we're going to be able to see the pictures that you send us, and then we're going to be able to help you decide what's the best deal for it. If it's a wholesale deal, sub-2 deal, and maybe we may even buy it from you. You may have a built-in buyer that can actually give you proof of funds while you go to the house. So if you want to do that, make sure you check out the REIRail Drive app. Mundy says, what verbiage should I put in my contract when wholesaling a deal just in case you need to exit? So there's not anything real fancy. I got a free contract in my Facebook group that is 100% free called Wholesaling Houses Elite. There's 120,000 members in there. Here's what you can do. All you're doing is you're going to have a due diligence period in a contract. That is standard in every single real estate contract pretty much in the country. Due diligence means that you're taking there's a period where you're doing your due diligence on the property and making sure everything is good. Listen, I put properties under contract where the seller has told me that the cost for renovations is X. When we actually go check out the property, it's way higher. Now, typically we tell the person, hey, look, you said it was this. I'm thinking it's, 50% more than what you said, and therefore I either have to come down on the price or this is just not going to be a great deal for us because, listen, we're investors and I just can't overpay for something because I'm not a nonprofit organization. And sometimes the best, route for a customer is actually not working with us. And I know a lot of people don't say that to their people. So what I do is when I'm talking to a seller, most of the time I'm running through their options of what they have. Hey, have you decided to fix this house up and become a landlord? You can rent it out yourself. Most of the time, people don't want to be with landlords. They heard horror stories about it, and they don't want to do it. 2, I said, look, you can probably fix this house up a little bit or list it as is on the MLS, and you may get a decent offer. They don't want to deal with people coming into the house. They want to deal with a cash buyer. And if I am their option that they like, they're going to choose me. If I tell somebody to fix the house up, or if I tell somebody list it with the real estate agent, and they go with that option, that means that was the best option for them. I never try to go into a house to try to convince somebody that I'm their best option. I try to let them see what's their best options and make the decision that if I am their best option. And sometimes if I got to do the math right in front of them, it works out to where I am their best option. Sometimes it's not, and I walk away from it, no problem. I got a lot more leads. There's a lot more homes. There's like 17 or 18 million vacant homes in America. I'll just go talk to somebody else that my product fits better with what you have. All right, so Christopher says this: how do I get a proof of funds that I feel confident in? I've got a seller who I think it will legit call to verify. She's going through a foreclosure. So Christopher, that's real cool. So basically what you want to do is you need to be working with a buyer. If you don't have the funds to get proof of funds, you need to be working closely with the buyer until you build up that confidence. Secondly, you can work directly with my office inside of the REIRail Drive app to where once you hit the deal desk, if it's something that we're interested in buying, we'll give you a proof of funds because we're going to be buying the property once you get it under contract. But in your case, if you don't have that option, you're not wanting to work with me, you need to be working closely with another buyer. And if that buyer if you built that trust with that buyer, he will allow you to use a proof of funds so that you can negotiate basically and get that property under contract and show that you do have the capability of closing. Because it's very important. You don't want to put a property under contract that you have no ability of closing, that you're not confident in being able to sell it to the buyer. But there is due diligence clauses where sometimes the property doesn't meet the standards that you thought it did. Maybe the repairs are too much. Maybe the numbers just don't work out. So if you have that 3 to 5 buffer day for the due diligence, sometimes 10 days due diligence where you can do your work, then you can figure out if you actually have a good deal on your hand or it's just way too much money. So good question. Where are we buying? So essentially, if you look at the map of the United States, we're buying from Virginia down to all the way to Florida, all the way across to Texas, including Tennessee and some of those other places. So pretty much that's what we're buying right now, and I'm buying a lot. Someone says, do you need to get your license now to wholesale properties or become an agent? No. Certain states have implemented something that makes it easier that if you are an agent, one of them being the state of Illinois. They only allow you to do one wholesale deal as a non-licensed person. So the remedy to that is to go out and get your license. It's probably going to cost you less than $500 or $600 to get licensed in a state. You're going to take a couple classes, you're going to take a test, you're going to pass, and you're going to be licensed. Then you can go out and then go around that law that says, hey, look, you got to be licensed. In Oklahoma, come November 1st, there's a rule. If you watch one of my last YouTube video, that rule is explained out exactly what you have to do in order to be able to wholesale deals in Oklahoma. I advise you, if you're in Oklahoma, go back and read that. But what I'm thinking is that this is going to roll out to be something that more states are going to have, more states are going to start doing. And if that's the case, you need to prepare yourself as a business. Now, hear me out. And no matter what business you're in, you're always going to have regulations that are going to change. That's going to make you have to do shifts and things in your business, do things different. It's okay. Don't worry about it. As an entrepreneur, as a problem solver, you're going to run into your own problems as well. The best thing to do is just change it. Just change what you got to do. Adapt and overcome. Utah is a great market. Sean, I'm pretty sure Alexis still does that. If she hasn't answered, maybe you email her again. If not, she may be busy. But yes, I know she definitely does do it. I'm just reading some of your guys' questions. Sean Teese, I think that is, McCorkle. How do you determine if it's a ready seller by reading tax lien data? I'm in your One Deal Away course. Put that question inside of the Facebook group because I'm not quite understanding what that is, and we'll get that answered for you in there. Let's see. Ryan says, what is the most effective workflow and setup for cold calling? It really comes down to if you're a single independent person, you need to be having your data stuff in front of you. When I started, I was dialing one by one. I don't think necessarily a triple line dialer or a single line dialer is good for somebody starting off. It can be too fast paced. You need to build your confidence and your knowledge up. So dial one by one. Now, here's what I recommend. Anybody that's starting out, sure, cold calling is great. My number one way to find deals when you're just starting out is driving. You need to drive around and put your eyes on properties that you see have been neglected and that are in disrepair. The reason why is because you can verify that it's accurate, it's up to date, it's happening right now. And we're getting towards the end of summer where the grass is going to start to die. But right now, during summer, right now when when grass is still growing, go look for tall grass, go look for unkept bushes. It's gonna take work. Don't try to skirt around that. Even till this day, if I'm home during the weekends, most of the time I get up the same time every day, no matter what day of the week it is, and I'm usually heading out the door, and on Sundays, I'll go drive around for a little bit, one, just to see what the city's doing, right? What's happening? Where are the new rehabs starting at? Where are the new rehabs ending at? Where do I see a neighborhood transforming? So if you look at a neighborhood that wasn't the best maybe a year and a half ago, and now you're seeing that colorful front door, and if you guys have been in the flipping business, you know that the colorful front door means that's a brand new rehab. And if you're starting to see that in a neighborhood that wasn't the best a year and a half ago, you know that's a trending neighborhood that is now moving into being able to be rehab. People are okay living there. And so you can get ahead of that and look for any vacant properties, look for any neglected properties and see what's going on. And maybe you might find somebody that's willing to sell you that. So Christopher says, I got a buyer lined up. However, I'm trying to build his confidence in me as well, so I have a tough time asking. So you just got to be straightforward and honest. Christopher, you got to say, hey, look, I'm just getting started, but I'm going to be your workhorse. I'm going to go out and find deals. If I find something that is attractive, based upon what your buy box is, and a buy box is essentially what they like, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, this area, this zip code, you know, not older than this. If you find something, then that person, it costs them nothing for you to go out there and find that. And they may be the perfect buyer for you, or somebody else may be. But you got to understand, you got to just be straight up and honest with people when you're starting any business. I mean, this just applies across the board in anything. And you'd be surprised at people that will be willing to help you get to where you want to go by you helping them as well. So just be straightforward, be honest. Somebody asks, Manny says, what does my acquisition team look like and what are their duties? I mean, here's my thing. Most of the time when people are asking that question, that means they haven't done enough deals. And it's a premature question. And the reason why I say that is you're trying to build a team when you haven't really found a reason to build out a team. The reason why I fired myself from certain positions and hired other people to do it is because I started to see a pattern in things that my time was most valuably spent. I'm not going to go do things that I one, don't like to do, or it's not a revenue generated activity. I'm going to sub these things out and to other people in my company or 1099 people, whatever it is. So this question may be premature for you. My acquisition teams does acquisitions. They make phone calls. They do what I call sniping leads. They follow up on leads. They get it sometimes, most of the time, the deals get locked up over the phone. If not, we have outside sales reps that will go to a property. Sometimes the person on the phone visits a property. These are very basic activities that they have to do. They have to go out and create business with the leads that are provided to them. Also, some of the people that are a little bit more savvy, they can go out and use the softwares that we provide them to go out and find leads and generate their own activity. And that's also a great thing. So you gotta go out and you gotta do a couple deals. You can't worry about building a team when you haven't even figured out what game you're actually playing yet. So forget about building a team. Go out, drive for dollars, find vacant, abandoned, neglected, disrepaired properties, call upon them from the owner. There's several apps you can use. I have an app called REIRail Drive. You can go to REIRail.com, sign up. I think it's gonna be like 20 or 30 bucks a month. And that's going to help you keep track of the properties that you're clicking on and liking. And once you do that, then you're going to be able to skip trace right from the phone. Then you can press the button and call them right from your phone. You're going to have all that data and all that information right in the palm of your hand, right on a phone. Right now, it's only available on iTunes, on the Apple Store. So Android people is coming soon, I promise. But you should be switching to Apple anyways. I'm joking. Don't come for me in the comments. This is a good question. Someone says, what do you do when you have a great deal, but no buyers in that area? What do you do when you have a great deal but there's no buyers in that area? Here is my famous saying, something I really love. I've been saying this a lot in 2021. A good deal never chases money. Money always chases a good deal. So the reality of you actually having a good deal, no matter where it is, people buy in every single corner and crevice of this country, right? If you cannot find a buyer, that means you don't have a good deal, period. I don't care if you bring me a deal in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, like I'm buying one next week. It's in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, but the numbers are so great I can't pass it up. And so if you do not have buyers to contact, you can simply use Propstream. I talk about it all the time. I have a free training module that shows you how I use the 4 golden rules and how I apply it to Propstream so you can go out and find leads. But not only that, you can find buyers. So no matter where you are, where you live, any corner in this area, from Wyoming to, it doesn't matter. If you have a good deal, there are people in that little small town that are landlords. They will buy it from you. So the reality is you probably don't have a good deal. So you got to keep working harder. Here goes another question. Somebody says, how do I find the owner of a vacant property? It's real simple. We use skip tracing. I go back to this app. Listen, I want you guys to all do me a favor. I know you're on YouTube right now, but if you can, go to REIRail.com, sign up for an account, right? Go to the App Store, download REIRail Drive, and that's going to solve 90% of the questions that you guys are asking me. Because if you found a vacant property, you can, one, either type the address in, 2, drive by it, click the button. Right in there it says skip trace the owner. You're going to have all their information for them. Yeah, so this is some easy things we can do. Right, here goes a question from Sean. What type of ways does a newbie investor can help or offer value to a veteran investor? You know, that's a good question. What kind of value can you provide to an investor that is going out there and has already been doing their thing for a while? You can bring them deals, because most of the time busy investors don't have time to go source their own deals. And here's the even crazier question. If you can get in front of that seasoned investor, ask them the same question. Say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Blank, I'm a new investor. What type of value can I bring to you to help you so that you can help me learn? And you would be surprised the people that would help somebody with an answer like that. And so if somebody came to me, hey, look, here's my buy box. Here's what I like. Go find those deals. You bring them to me and I evaluate them. I'm going to buy them from you. But as I'm buying them from you, I'm going to teach you what, if I'm going to flip it, if I'm going to keep it as a rental, and you keep bringing me deals and I'm going to buy them from you. You're going to make money. I'm going to pay you and I'm going to teach you. So you got to get your communication skills up and talk to people that you typically would be afraid to talk to, because that's what this business is about. That's what any business is about, is solving people's problems. It's REI, and a rail, like a railroad, REIRail.com. So somebody has a question. They says, look, I found multiple properties in an area. They're bad shape. They're boarded up. All have the same owner. I've skip traced. I've called every number that comes up and nothing. Any suggestions? Absolutely. Go knock on the neighbor's house and ask if they know anything about the owner. Find out more about the owner on social media. There's people around town that's going to know something. Walk up to the neighbor's house, knock on the door. Hey, look, my name is such and such. I'm a real estate investor. I see that house next door to yours is empty. Do you know anything about it? And you'd be surprised. I hope you brought a coffee because you're going to be there a while. You'd be surprised the people that are going to be able to tell you, because one, they don't like the empty house next to them. It brings down their property value. It could invite crime into their neighborhood. All these things. It's just an eyesore. So you definitely don't think that just using apps and technology is the best way to find people. I found great people that have been hard to find by just knocking on the neighbor's door. I'm looking for more questions. All right, so my boy Will, that boy Will to be exact, just closed his first deal and made $14,000. Congratulations. That was actually the exact number of my first deal. Can you give me any specifics on a marketing plan? So Will, that's a good question. Here's what I would say. Whatever you did to find that first deal, try to replicate it again. And since you have a little bit of money behind you, try to add a little bit of fuel to the fire. And I mean very little amount. So if you found it driving for dollars, drive for dollars more. Or find some other people that can help you drive for dollars. Either pay them per lead they give you or pay them if you buy a deal that they bring you. Whatever it was, try to replicate it again. And because if you found your first deal using no money or some type of marketing technique that didn't require a lot of money, then you can find another one just like that again. But you add just a little bit of spice to it and be able to speed it up. Whether that's buying more data, whether that's driving more, whether that's cold calling more, whatever that is, find out how you can do that. And don't make it complicated. Put most of that money away, right? I would take about $1,000 out of the $14,000 and I would add that to my marketing plan and be very, very cautious and frugal on how you spend it. Most people want to just dump everything back in, but the reason why I'm telling you not to do that yet, now there's a point where you should. Reason why you shouldn't do that yet is because you haven't mastered or you haven't figured out exactly where you got that from. Look at that deal on paper, right? And once you see that deal on paper, you need to reverse engineer that deal. Now, what do I mean by that? It's real simple. You break down the problems that you identified or solved for that seller. The property was vacant. They lived out of state. They inherited it. And so what you can see now is I'm starting to develop a profile of a person. They have a vacant home. Okay, we all know those. We see those. There's even lists that I think we can pull from Propstream just for that. They live out of state, so they're kind of out of touch with the property. They probably have no business ever coming back. They're probably not coming back to the property. And three, they inherited it. So you can look for somebody that got a property for a free transfer. So once I figured out, hey, this was a probate property, right? Because they inherited it. 2, it was vacant. 3, they lived out of state. I start to build an avatar of a like customer, somebody that may have this same thing again. And once you develop that, you can then start to search for that and see where you can purchase these types of lists. Most people overcomplicate it and try to go do something else and then do this and do this and do that. I got real good when I started on tax delinquent. Once I mastered tax delinquent, I went into probate. Once I mastered probate, I went into something else. But between tax delinquent and probate, I made a lot of money because I was solving those problems. And every time I did a deal, I would see that there was some consistency in what the problem was. They inherited it. It's going through probate. It's vacant. They live out of state. And so you start to build that. And once you build that, you have your ideal customer. It's no different if you had a restaurant or a daycare and your first customers come through and you talk to your customers and you figure out, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from here. Hey, where do you work? Oh, I work around here. Where do you live? I live around here. And you start to say, okay, most of my customers live and work within 3 to 5 miles of my restaurant. Okay, perfect. Most of them have, Jamaican background. So that's why they love my food. Or most of them do this or do that. And you start to build your avatar. Hey, look, this is my ideal customer, right? And then you start to market to those ideal people that look like that and do things like that and live in that area. And you'd be surprised, they'll all start to come together and come there and patronize whatever restaurant or whatever business that you do have. So it's not really that hard. Parker says, listen, can you explain the probate process and how it works? It's kind of different in every state, but essentially somebody dies intestate or testate, that means with or without a will. And most of the time when you have real property and personal items, those things have to go through a probate process if the person hasn't properly set up a will. And most people don't. And so the state gets involved in order for you to separate your items and how do they transfer, right? How do they go from a person that's no longer living into somebody else? And that's usually called a process of probate. Now, every state's different, but it's a process that people have to go through. So what I would challenge you is to figure out what is probate and what is that process in your state. Every single state has what they call general statutes, GS. And in these general statutes, now this is boring terms and boring work, The general statute will tell you mostly everything on the rules and the laws that people have to follow in state. And so if you type in, North Carolina general statutes foreclosure, you're going to see this long, ugly document type up. And then you're going to hit Control F, and then you're going to type in the word foreclosure. And everywhere that foreclosure is mentioned in that long document, you're going to be able to start reading steps. And I know this is sound boring, but this is how I personally figured out how foreclosure processing had to happen in North Carolina. Once I figured that out, I try to put myself in early as the process as possible. So whatever document that came out first or whatever process that happened first, this is where I started to first identify people that were in foreclosure. Now, some people don't nerd out like that, but I'm a complete nerd when it comes to really mastering my craft and really digging deep. Sure, there's apps that do this, there's softwares that do this, you can pull a list to do this, but I knew that if I can get this, if I knew what the first process was, this list would be fresher than anybody else. So you got people all across the country investing in certain hot areas of the country, then you want to be there first. And if you can be there first and often, most of the time you're going to get the deal. Be a nerd about it. All right, Troy said, how do you determine the repair costs on a property? So that's more of a science, right? It's more of a skill that you have to develop. You don't have to be dead on. In the course that Naz and I have at maxandnaz.com, we go over that in detail where I take Francis goes to the houses and he talks about what things cost. And when he does that, he kind of breaks the pricing down. Now, in your area, there's pretty much a standard price. But if you want to learn fast and if you are good talking with people, I would recommend that you go to a current flipper. And how do you find a flipper? You drive around. And when you see the big dumpster in the yard, pull over and talk to the contractors and say, hey, look, man, I'm a real estate guy. I find deals like these all the time. What are some of your prices so I can get an idea of what it costs you to flip? That way, if I bring you a deal, you can kind of tell me, oh, most of the time I spend about 8 or 10 grand in the bathroom. Most of the time I spend about this in the kitchen. Most of the time my house is a this square foot and I've spent about this much money updating it. And so if he says, hey, look, a 1,300 square foot house, I'm spending $40,000, you need to be able to say, hey, look, oh, you got 13 square foot house that's updated, that's about $40,000. And that's about the ballpark you need to get. But you got to get in front of that flipper that knows his market well. He's going to give you flipper prices, not the prices from Google, right? And so once you develop a relationship with the flipper, it's going to be easy. Look, if in a house that's typically 1,300 square feet, I'm doing this. 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, blank. And you just use those rough numbers because most flippers are going to bring a house to a certain standard. Especially in this market, there's certain things that a flipper is going to put in every single house. And once you learn that and it becomes a standard in your market, you're going to be able to easily go in a house 1,500 square feet, bathrooms, most of these things are outdated. Okay, that's going to be this. All right, so Ricardo says, hey, Max, I work a full-time and I've hired 2 VAs to cold call. They're getting around 3 to 6 leads a day, but most of these leads sellers want $20,000 to $50,000 more than their property's worth. What am I doing wrong? You're giving them the wrong data to call. You're giving them the wrong problem, a problem that does not exist. If somebody wants $50,000 over the price, they're just trying to say, hey, give me a price to make me move, which means you haven't identified a list to actually call. So I would question where you're getting your data from, what type of list are you pulling. But first, if you're working full-time, 40, 50, 60 hours, even then you still have weekends or whatever it is free, and the days are long now, even though they're getting shorter, you need to take your butt out and drive for dollars. You need to probably drop your VAs because you don't have a system and process and you're just burning money. And I see a lot of people do this all the time. They like to bring money to the solution thinking that it's going to solve the problem. Most of the time, that's not the case. You haven't developed the skills enough to deploy or delegate this process to somebody else. You need to be going out there and doing this thing yourself and do it enough times where you feel confident that you can train somebody else to do it. So yeah, you might be taking action, but you're heading in the wrong direction. If you haven't cold called for a long time and you haven't had these lists, then it doesn't really make sense that you give somebody else to do it. One, they don't know your area like you, so VAs are not going to be as effective as you. And the reality is, most people are like, yo, I hired 2 VAs to make phone calls. You need 1 deal a month. If you get one deal a month, averaging $10,000 to $15,000, it's going to absolutely change your life. So most people look on Instagram, look on YouTube, and they say, yo, Max got 10 cold callers, Max got this, or this guy got that. Stop looking at people that are at level 10 when you're just getting started. And I don't know if this fits your case exactly, but this is what I see commonly. I've been doing this, talking about wholesaling for 5, 6 years now. And so I see this common practice. I hired VAs, I'm doing something, I feel good. Yep, I'm a flipper, I'm a wholesaler, I'm an investor. Reality is you're just burning money. They're gonna keep making those calls because that's what you told them to do, and you're gonna be making calls off the list you give them. You need to go out and find a formula that works for you. And most of the time, you need 1 or 2 deals a month. One deal will change. If you do 1 deal a month, averaging $10,000, that's that's $120,000 a year. Let me ask you a question. How many people in America do you believe makes $100,000? That's a question. I'm going to take actually a quick poll. How can I type that up? Here's a question. What percentage of Americans make $100,000 or more a year?
What do you want the options to be?
No, I want people to type it in. I want you to type in below. What percentage, and don't go Google it, what percentage of Americans make $100,000 or more a year? Right? Let's get that question up there. Mike says, how do you prevent sellers from shopping your offer around? Don't give them an offer until you know they're ready to say yes or no. If I give you an offer, I'm not letting you off the phone until you say yes or no. Somebody's saying about 30%, 20%, around 10%, less than 10%, 5%, 25%. So the question is, what percentage of Americans make $100,000 or more? 25%, 15%, 7%. Right? These are some crazy answers. So here's the reality. There is 9% of Americans make $100,000 or more. Now, I know Instagram, everybody does. But what I'm saying is, the reality is if you can do 1 deal, you'll be in the top 9% of America. 1 deal a month, put you at $120,000 a year. If you take 2 months off and do 10 deals, you can take a 2-month vacation, you'd be in the top 9%. So the reality is, not a lot of people make the type of money that you're trying to make. So you're going to have to do what other people don't do. 1, that's being consistent. 1, that's studying your butt off to make sure you understand what this is. And 2 and 3, take massive action. Don't make this complicated. You want to be in a category of less than 10% of Americans. You need to go out there and do what 10% of Americans do. And so the reality is, I know Instagram's flashy. Everybody's got a nice car. Everybody's got a big house. Everybody's taking trips. Everybody's riding private jets. The reality is, IRS data says less than 10% of Americans make $100,000. So don't make this complicated. Don't think you need to go out there and do all this craziness to get there. If you can do this 1 time a month, and that's what I've been trying to tell people for so long, 1 time a month, you can go out there and do that. The only personal mentorship that I do is through maxandnas.com. Nas is a good friend of mine. We put out a course last October. Nas has been doing real estate for 12 years. I've been doing it for 5 or 6. The reality is we put out something so we can connect with people. You're going to be in our Facebook group. You're going to be in our Discord app. We have a meeting weekly or bi-weekly. I think it's every other week right now. We have a private Zoom call that we do every week. And so I'm not even going, what is that, Brander show? I'm not even going to go there. We're going to leave that one where it is. We're going to leave that. We're going to leave that one right where it is. I'm not touching that. All right, so somebody says, where do you get contract templates when you first started? To be honest, I pieced together some contract. I had one page when I started, and it had spelling errors and everything. But here's the thing. I have free contracts, even on my, don't I have them on my website? Yep. TheRealMaxwell.com/contract?
I believe contract, script, and downloads are all the same.
Yeah. So just go to my website. Go to TheRealMaxwell.com/ and click on the resource tab. TheRealMaxwell.com. Click on the resource tab. You're going to get my contract for free. What else?
We have scripts,
Scripts, contracts.
There's multiple contracts.
There's all types of stuff on there.
Oh, and most important, the deal belt, conveyor belt.
Yeah. So go to my website, TheRealMaxwell.com. Click on the resource button. You're going to get the contracts. You're going to get contracts, which I think you're going to get the A to B contract. You're going to get the assignment contract. There's also scripts on there, so you can kind of start developing your own flow. Don't be a robot and read the scripts. There's multiple things on there. I even show you my lead conveyor belt, which is how I push leads through my company. I know a lot of people are asking me, how do you move leads around in your company? I use something called the lead conveyor belt. It is, Marcos, it is legal to wholesale in Utah. You could, somebody else has answered that for you, but it's legal. You've answered it. You asked it a few times. I've seen it. It is legal. Jimmy Roberts says, hey, Max, when you're flipping a house, do you take title in your company name? Yes, always, 100%. Either company name or trust, all the time. Because Max doesn't own anything. Y'all better leave that topic alone about what women want. I'm not touching that. All right, so we have a question here, which I'll do pretty good at this. I have a deal. 5 siblings inherited the property. There's an executor, the sale, but one sibling does not want to sign the form, so the title company can't clear title. How do you get around it? So I haven't done this in a while. Haven't had to, fortunately, but it's called what is it called? I think it's called like a partial sale, or, man, I'm forgetting the words. It was right at the tip of my tongue. It's basically a sale that the court forces them to do. It's like a partial sale or something. Now you're going to stomp me. I'm going to pin it to the comment in this video, but there is things. It's called a forced sale, basically a partial sale, or something like that, but you definitely can do that. I've done it a bunch. I don't do it a bunch anymore. I haven't had to. So Paul says, how many leads to get 1 deal a month? Paul, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, right? Because I'll ask you this question. How much does it take for your employer to pay you $10,000 in a month? And right, so there's this, people want this equation like it works. Yeah, there's an average you can get once you start doing lots of deals and you start to track your KPIs, your key performance indicators. But in the beginning, it doesn't matter. I want you to go out. I want you to drive for dollars. I want you to go out and drive for dollars and find properties that are in disrepair. I don't care about no leads. Don't ask me about no leads. Go out. How many leads would you call to make $10,000 in a month? That should be the better question. There it goes. Partition sale. There it is. Partition sale. Thank you, Dave. Hey, Alexander, in one of my next videos, I'll do a live comp for that property on Riviera Beach. Right now, I've only got about 14 minutes before I got to hit. My schedule will be tight, but I would do that. Here goes a question that I had before. What do you do when you can't find the homeowner through multiple skip tracing services? Keep trying. Knock on the neighbor's door, left and right. Start asking around town. People leave trails. You'll be able to find somebody. I promise you. Melissa says, dumb question, and she raised her hand. Melissa, there's no dumb question ever, right? The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. All right? You could charge so much for your experience. Why do you give it away for free? She would too, just want to know why you do that. So that's a good question, Melissa. So yeah, of course, I like money, right? And I could charge a lot of money for a lot of things. And my brand has brought me good money. Real estate has brought me good money. I actually own probably 6 other companies outside of this. Now, could I make a lot of money charging for the information I know? Absolutely. Do I have some products that I do make money from? Yeah, I'm not afraid to make it. We've did a course after 5 years or 4 years of not wanting to do one, and it came out. We make some money from that. I have softwares that I make some money from. But the reality is, yeah, I'm probably leaving about $6 or $7 million a year on the table by not going full-fledged into training. And here's the thing. You know, if you found like this magical plant that you can eat to make you lose weight, most people are going to be so excited about it, they're going to tell all their friends and family, right? Some people are going to bottle it up, put a patent on it, and sell it. You know, I'm kind of like in between. Like I was so excited that I can be a less than a 2.0 GPA student, couldn't get into any college, had to go to the military in order to continue to develop. You know, first generation American. I didn't grow up in, you know, a middle class or high wealthy family. So if I can come from all of those things, and I'm dyslexic, if I can come from all of those things to where I am now, I think it's only right that I go out there and tell people that they can do the same thing too. Now, because people need to hear that they can do it. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And so I know that this movement and what we're doing is bigger than me. And hopefully one day about 10,000 people will show up to my funeral one day. And so it's like, I want to make an impact on people. And yeah, of course I'm leaving some money on the table, but making an impact is something that I really strive to do. And I do good. I do good for people, but I also do well. And so would an extra $6 million a year change my life? Not really. I'm still going to do mostly the same things. And so my goal in life is to make an impact on people and sell one of my companies for a lot of money. And so that's why I'm an entrepreneur. My Super Bowl ring is selling one of my big companies for a lot of money to somebody else and continue to make an impact. I just like to make an impact, and I like people, and I like to see when people the best feeling I've ever had is when a stranger comes up to me out in the middle of nowhere. I'm either traveling in the airport, I'm somewhere, and they say, what you have said or done online or this video or this podcast changed my life. I just want to say thank you. There's nothing out there that gives you that satisfaction, that dopamine hit. It just makes you feel good. And I like that. And, you know, for people, I like the idea that I can change people's lives that I've never met before. I think it's pretty cool. One thing that scares me that if I wholesale, child support is going to treat it as income. God forbid it drives up, my child support goes away. Listen, Mike, I've never been in your situation. I don't have any kids, never been married. But here's what I will say. Don't worry about that, man. If you're making enough money to take care of your responsibilities, if you make enough money to where the judge says you got to pay $100,000 in a month in child support, then go out and pay the $100,000, because that means you're making way more money. You know, one thing, I hate paying taxes. I hate paying taxes when I could be giving my employees more money. And so, but it's part of it, you know, so it's part of like a gratification. Like, yo, I get to pay taxes. I mean, I'm doing well. Not that I enjoy it, but it is what it is. Is there any sales/negotiation training programs that you could recommend? So I have some videos that you can start out watching, and then my guy, Keith Everett, Real Estate Diddy, has a good sales program. You should check it out. I like him. He's the truth. He's not paying me to say this. I don't get no kickback from what he's doing. I just know he's a solid dude. He's good at what he does, and he will help you. So his name is Keith Everett, and they call him the Real Estate Diddy. So check him out. So here's a question from TBE. When should you work in someone else's real estate investment business versus starting your own? Now, here's something that I don't go out and press. Not everybody's an entrepreneur. You can do real well as a highly paid employee. If you have a particular skill that can make a lot of money, but you lack the things above that to be able to run a company, your best fit might to be a high-paid employee inside of a business. Now, sometimes, and some people, a lot of successful people go work for somebody else so they can get a full understanding of what the business is. Sometimes you realize, this is not for me. I'll make my money as a great salesman making $200,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Or you can go out and you can realize, oh, I can do this on my own, and go out and start your own business. So that decision is kind of up to you. I don't really tell people to go out there and quit your 9 to 5. Not unless you're real good at what you're doing. One of my good friends, Brian Rigbo, he was making 6 figures before he decided to quit his job, and he really had to think about it then. And so he made that decision when his passive income surpassed what he was making. And so I pushed him, but that was because I knew he had the skills to go way beyond what he was doing. And so not everybody has those skills to go out and, it's hard to be an entrepreneur when you start to have employees, you got all these responsibilities, you got to have a good personal skills. So yeah, go out and try it. Try work for somebody else, see how it works. Maybe you want to go out and start your own thing, but it never hurts. It's not like you're locked into something really cool. All right, so let me see what other questions we got. So somebody says, what books do I read to add some value to me in real estate? I'm not really just a casual reader that sits down and reads books. I read a book to solve a problem that I'm having. So typically, I haven't really read a real estate book that just had some crazy impact on me. Reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was down and out and depressed really changed my mind frame of thinking. But really, if I want to learn about creative financing, I go read a creative financing book, or I'll listen to a bunch of creative financing podcasts, or, whatever it is, I read a book to solve a problem, not really out of enjoyment. And so whatever problem you have, try to solve that by going out and reading a book from somebody who actually does this business. Is direct mail still effective in this business? Absolutely. I think it's a very effective way to do. It's expensive. You got to make sure that your data is pretty good, and if you can do that, then you can turn around and make some good money. It's just another cog in the wheel. If you're just starting, I wouldn't recommend doing that. There's many other ways that you can get leads besides going out there and spending a lot of money mailing. All right, so here is a good question. I think it's a good question. Let me read it. Max, you ever lose motivation since you've accomplished a lot, i.e. money, freedom, etc.? I am at the space constantly challenging myself to get to fire back when I needed money. That's a good question. So he's basically saying, look, now that you've had some success, you're financially independent, you're free, you can kind of do what you want to do. Do you ever lose that fire? I'll be honest with you, man. Absolutely. I took a year off probably when COVID first started, just because I was kind of just like burnt out, kind of just relaxing and chilling, trying to come up with the next master plan. And sometimes you lose motivation, but you don't really lose it for long. And here's the thing, some people, they only strive to reach a certain number because somebody else says that's a number, or they look at Instagram and they see that's their lifestyle. The definition of success really comes from yourself. You probably don't want a plane like me. You probably don't want to live on 100 acres like me. You probably don't want to do other things. I don't have 100 acres now, but that's what I'm striving to go get, to build a house on 100 acres. I have 21 now. But you probably don't have the same aspirations to define your success like me. But some people do look at people online or people in their family and say, that is what the definition of success is. The definition of success is freedom. Whenever to the point where you feel free and you can continue maintaining that for the rest of your life, that's great. I have aspirations to build generational wealth. I want them to speak about me the same way they speak about the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers, in the sense that they left this legacy so long. Now, some people different. Some people say, listen, I want my kids to struggle. I don't want my kids to struggle. I want my kids to learn what money is and do this and blah, blah, blah. And so do entrepreneurs, successful ones, sometimes lose motivation? Absolutely yes. And that's why it's important to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs that are like-minded, that you guys can come together every so often. And that's why masterminds are real good. And so the answer to your question is, yeah, absolutely. And I sometimes supplement that or recharge my battery pack by not going on vacation, but hanging out with a good set of people for a couple days, talking about, life, business, and all of that, and get my battery pack recharged and head back to where I'm going. I'm in a group called the Elite X, where it's a bunch of real estate investors and / developers, and we do that. We do that once a quarter. We get together, we recharge our battery pack, we go home and we knock it down for another few months, and then we do that. So I think it's important to pace yourself so that you don't do it. But, entrepreneurship's hard, and most of the time you can't depend on an external source to charge your battery. It has to come from within. And yeah, and if you reach that level of success and you don't want to push anymore and you want to spend that time with your friends and your family, man, completely back off, as long as you can automate your current position so that it doesn't die down. But like I said, my ultimate goal is to leave a legacy and be able to get my entrepreneur Super Bowl ring, which is being able to exit a company for sale. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into being an entrepreneur, and one of them is losing motivation, depression, all that stuff. And some people don't want that. So we got for one more. So this is probably a good question to answer on, and I hope I'm understanding it the way that they wrote it and intended it to be interpreted. Have you met your definition yet? No. And what I think you mean by this is, have I found my purpose? I think I found part of it, which is helping people like yourself and being able to allow people to see that they can be successful no matter what the circumstances are. I think that's part of it. I really enjoy being an employer and employing people and letting people see the power that they have within themselves. But do I completely feel fulfilled yet? No, and that's probably what keeps the fire burning every single day. There's challenges. I love challenges. Sometimes I cuss like a sailor. Sometimes I handle it well. You guys only get to see me button up and polish while I'm on here, but sometimes I deal with problems just like everybody else. But finding my definition, I don't believe I've completely found my 100% purpose, but I believe that in my current setting in life, I feel like I've been put here to kind of help people and do well. And it's rewarding. I love it. I'll never complain, only a little bit. But other than that, you got to keep going. And so I think that here's the thing. A lot of you on here regret waking up in the morning to go to the job that you don't want to do. And you're trying to replace this financial constraint, these golden handcuffs at a job, in order to you live this life that you want to be and essentially be free. And so this is a pathway. Wholesaling real estate is a pathway not only to become financially independent and free, but also to learn the ins and outs of real estate in general, which is really the foundation of most people's wealth. And so it's also going to give you other skills that can go into other businesses that you truly want to be in. There's I don't know, I got 240,000 YouTube subscribers, something like that. there's not 240,000 people watching my channel that truly love real estate. What they do is they see it to a means to end to do what they want to do. And so for me, it's part of it, right? Making the money to go out and do other businesses that I enjoy doing. And you guys can go out and do the same. One of the things that I know people hate is waking up and going to something that they don't want to do. And so in order to change that, you're going to have to do something that you're not doing. And so whatever it is, whether it's wholesaling real estate, whatever it's a side hustle, whatever that thing is, figure it out, take massive action and move yourself to that point where you want to change your life and change your family tree. Because it's true, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's whether it's this or anything else. And so one thing I want to leave you guys with tonight is anything is possible that you put in front of you. And if I can do it, you can do it. You really just have to do things that other people don't do. You're going to have to make, short-term sacrifices to reach your goal. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people don't reach their goal, is because they can't delay instant gratification for the end prize, which is your goal. So learn how to delay gratification. Learn how to grind. Learn how to put in that work that most people don't want to put in. And once you do that, you're probably going to reach that goal that you always wanted. And when you reach that goal, guess what? It's probably going to change. And so for me, my goal, it's changed for me. I wanted $1 million. I did that a lot of times. And so my goalpost has changed. And since when you get to that point, your goalpost might change as well. But do something and do things that other people are not willing to do. Delay gratification as long as you can. And if you do that, you're going to reach your goal and you're going to be what we call free. And if you're free, do whatever you want to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I know it's a little bit less about real estate. We got some of that in there, more personally about me, more personally about how you guys can achieve what you want to achieve. But if you enjoyed this, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Turn the bell on so you know when you can get the notifications of my new video. Share this video with somebody just so I can get more views, and you may help inspire somebody else to do whatever you do. If you're following me on Instagram, thank you. If you're not, please go do so. And just like last week, I'll see you again next week at 7 p.m. I appreciate you guys. Peace and love. Some people are used to going on trips. Some people are used to only going trips on first class. Wow. Some people are only used to flying private. So if you start to make new normals for yourself, they will come true. The mind is the most powerful thing you possess. So if you don't want to change, you're not going to be able to change. For me, it's for whatever thought you have to be able to have a complete opposite thought. Because once you want to change, start to challenge what you know.